Songwriting is a craft.
Especially in songwriting, either you're a good songwriter or not.
Commercial song is really any song that has the potential to sell to the public.
The hardest part of producing, I think anything in this world of media, is getting the concept down.
The song is the most important element. If you haven't got a song, you haven't got anything.
Russ, rolling on one.
Okay, make it good. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's my first real attempt at writing in a very commercial idiom, and it just happened.
A songwriter essentially has to rely on other people to create the final representation of their work.
Production nowadays is a major part of whether or not a record becomes a hit.
In the record business, the producer is the equivalent of the director in the movie business. In other words, I'm in the directing a vocalist, give me a performance, become this character, pace the lines. As a producer, and I'm not a staff producer for a record company, I'm an independent producer. The only thing you've got going for you is your name and your reputation.
Producer, you just keep your eye on the budget, make sure that you can afford the next move you're going to make, and try to put your best commercial foot forward all the time.
Every artist needs somebody to assist them in some way, often the financial way. Patrons, even the painters, and through the centuries have always required somebody to help them. Artists are struggling.
Well, I have someone who is interested in backing me financially, which is great because you need funds to really pursue this career. It's an expensive investment.
Studio rates go something like this. If you go into a studio with a $40 an hour rate, you're usually talking about a demolition studio that's 16 track, and that's really what it is. You're looking at anywhere from $100 to $130 an hour, what I call static time. That's before you enter in your dynamic creative financing.
The soundtrack started in 1977. First year we did 3 jingles, and the next year we did 6 jingles, and now we do, maybe 3 pieces of music a week, which is a lot of music. At night we turn into music-oriented people, and we have a small clientele of real, regular, serious music people. As soon as possible, somehow get that side of yourself together, get your business manager, get your lawyer, and develop that while you're developing your tunes and your ability to record.
A lawyer should be a disinterested party, represent the interest of his client. I don't want to be an advertising agency for lawyers, because there's good lawyers and there's bad lawyers. Certainly an artist should not enter a major relationship without an understanding of that relationship, which means since the relationship is dictated by pieces of paper, whether it's a management relationship, a publishing relationship, a production relationship, an agency relationship, you've got to know what you're getting into.
Now the producer, not unlike the artist, gets paid from record one. The artist has to pay back all of the investment, including the producer's fee and the recording costs, before they see nickel one.
I had to contract the musicians and get the players that I wanted. And I got marvelous players. I love them. I'm very happy with them. We drew up a contract that essentially said that they were musicians for hire and paid each musician X amount of dollars. And it was therefore then a one-time job as opposed to receiving royalties for the song. I receive royalties only as the writer. My singer for this tape had a contract drawn up again as a musician for hire. And as much as I love her voice and think she's very talented, it was still a job, and a one-time job.
Basic contractual problem is somebody is using your material without authorization, or you are, and essentially, or they're using it with your authorization, but they're not paying you.
As a writer, I've had some problems as far as just getting used to copywriting material and running into all the legalities of what to do and what not to do and how to do it.
In terms of defining what a good deal is, if I was an artist, or I represented an artist, and I wanted to enter a record deal, I would want to make sure that would want to be very careful that each of my interests were protected. A bad deal would be signing with one entity that is management, production, and publishing, and have it go sour.
I've decided to publish the material myself and therefore save monies that I would have had to have given to a publisher.
The publisher's main job is to make your song a hit. He's actually like a representative of the songwriter, which is why he gets 50% of the songwriter's royalties. He takes your song, since the songwriter has no connections, usually, he takes that song and he gets it to the right people so they can make a real record of the song.
Soundtrack definitely has the capability to do record product and to do larger pieces of music. Very typically, the songwriter comes in, and I'm going to assume the songwriter is also the arranger, because again, typically that's the way things are. So he's going to come in with his rhythm section, his drums, bass, guitar, piano, and lay that part of the tune down. That's what we call the rhythm section, and capture kind of the fundamental feeling of his song. And he might be singing along at the same time so that the musician and everybody hears sort of where we're headed with the vocals. So that's sort of day one. Songs take anywhere from 2 hours to 10 hours to lay that part of the song down. At that point, your the foundation is done.
In the studio, if you're working with people you know, you really have to establish who is really going to run the show.
Try to make the chorus a little more legato, and on the I want to put my arms around you, don't take a breath on either side of my. I want to put my arm.
Well, being a producer in this instance, it's fairly new for me, but I just convey to the engineer the sound that I want, and to the players what I want, and they just work with me to attain that sound.
Overdub is when you bring in additional musicians or singers at a time later than the initial session. It means that you're using a tape recorder that has many tracks, and some of these tracks have no signal on them yet, so this overdub performance is being laid down on its own track. You bring in a synthesized player and he imitates string parts, or he imitates horn parts, or oboe parts, or whatever.
We'll also leave room on the track so that sometime later I can go back in if we have to put a new kazoo performer in or something that's the latest kick on records. I mean, I can remember last year it was Barking Dogs on disco records.
I think we do a good job of keeping the session moving along, not losing sight of what our goal is, and then hopefully the artist who's coming in is bringing the more aesthetic values to the music in. That's his job. I mean, he's the artist. We're the technical house. So we have instruments here that are typically not found in recording studios. I mean, timpanis, chimes, synthesizers, every keyboard you can imagine.